Okay, hopefully we are here recording live. So I'm going to go back to my Zoom. No, this is not going to work. Okay, so maybe this works like this. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I would like to share my screen. So welcome. I have some technical problems live streaming from my computer into the Facebook group. So instead of live streaming to the Facebook group, I thought I'll live stream into here. So we can go through it and record it in YouTube. It will be there. So let's have a look. Let me just share my screen. Yeah. And tonight we are having talk about fasting. And I'm super excited about this. So this is a workshop that I delivered face-to-face last weekend to a group of people, a part of a community for entrepreneurs. And the idea is for this group, whoever they choose to join us in a fasting week, so 7 days of fasting. And these 7 days of fasting can be in different ways. Can be intermittent fasting, can be juice fasting or juice cleansing or water fasting or a combination of them. So what I want to do today is, share about this. Why fasting? What are the benefits and how to do it, how to prepare. So the first thing is that we have a big problem in society. So 75% of all the deaths in the world are preventable because they are related with chronic disease. So this is 41 million people die every year due to chronic disease. And as I said, this is preventable. And the statistics are alarming. We are getting sicker by the day. So we hear so often that people say, oh, we are living longer. Yes, we're living longer, sicker. Because if we adjust the life expectancy to the health, how healthy we live, we are not living any longer. Most of the people, or the average people, will live more than 9 years with a chronic disease, which involves a lot of restrictions, because when our health is not optimal, we have pain, we don't have energy, we become grumpy, we cannot enjoy life. So if you look at the graph, it's saying really we live healthy for 64 years, more or less, which means that the time that you retire, right, you are sick and you will not enjoy your life. So the problem is that, as we saw in the previous slide, and how we are going to talk a little bit more in a few minutes, is that the amount of people who are suffering from chronic disease is getting bigger. And it's so big, the percentage of the population, that sometimes we think that is normal. That is normal to have a chronic disease, that is normal to be obese, that is normal to have high blood pressure or high sugar, or all these problems, have low energy, very, very bad menopausal, symptoms. That is not normal. It is common. And there is difference in this, right? The body is amazing. And tonight you are going to learn how you can prevent and reverse disease. Not only with fasting, for fasting is one of the pillars that I use for myself, which I'm going to tell you my story. And also is one of the pillars that I use with my clients when I work with them one-on-one. So my mission is to help people heal their body, cleanse the mind, and live a beautiful life, because I believe that is our right for everybody in this planet. So I want to ask you, and maybe pause the video for a minute of this class, and think about, why is health important for you? You know, because the reality is that for most of the people, they don't think about health until the health is lost. We think about, money and the job and everything else that we want to do, and we take health for granted until we have very severe symptoms. Because sometimes we have symptoms and the body will start, giving us some information that it needs some help, but most of the time we just dismiss them because we don't know how to listen to the body. So why is health important for you? And I want to share with you my story. So I was born in Mexico in a family that is very healthy. And, we have few issues. My mom has high blood pressure and my grandmom had blood pressure, which I'll talk about, what happens with the families and the genes. But overall, we don't have diabetes in the family. We don't have a lot of problems. And but since very young age, I started having some quite a bit of headaches. And if I had issues with my throat, I had a headache, like this side of the head. Or if I didn't eat on time, I will have a headache. Or if I ate too much at the time when I was growing up, there was no McDonald's or fast foods really in Mexico, but I have family in the US. So when we're going to visit the family, obviously we wanted to go to these restaurants because it was something new for us and it was like a treat. And I remember almost every time that I ate at McDonald's, I'll have a headache. But I associated that because we were in shopping and we were eating late. I never thought about what was in the food. Anyway, time passed, and I've always been interested about how the body works, the anatomy. And at school, I was very good in the subjects. I was very curious. And I remember when I was a kid, I'll make these stories on my head of how the body worked inside. Now I thought like was somebody inside sorting out the food from the water that I ate. That's crazy. But when I needed to choose my degree, I thought about studying medicine. However, I was discouraged by doctors and also by spending a day with a doctor in the hospital. And I felt that there was no, how to say, it was very cold, the treatment to the patients, and it was not really emotions. So I decided to study engineering, and I have a PhD in occupational health by the School of Medicine in the United Kingdom at the University of Birmingham. And in 2003, when I went back to Mexico after living in the UK for 5 years, my younger sister was diagnosed with cancer. And that was devastating for us. She was 27 at the time, and she had melanoma. And it was so hard going doctor after doctor, asking, somebody to give us a little bit of hope or give us a different perspective. But we were told over and over and over there was nothing to be done, that she was going to die, and basically to stop bothering them. She needed to go through chemo, and that was it. And she decided to go through chemo. And I just saw how in 2 years her life vanished, but also how much she suffered, not only from the disease, physically and mentally, but from the side effects of the medications. So after 2 long years of suffering, she passed away. And it was the most horrible and difficult experience I have lived to this day. And so after that, while she was sick, I started looking at alternative medicines, and I started learning and being more interested in other things like energy healing, and I start reading a bit more about food and about emotions and all of that. And when she passed away, I started having more headaches and more headaches. And I started having not only the headaches and migraines, but also I started having issues with my skin. And with the skin, I started having eczema. And one day it was so bad that I felt I didn't want to go out. So I was putting makeup, which looked even worse. And I went to see a dermatologist. And the dermatologist, after she saw me, she said, well, it's just eczema, and you just need to learn how to live with it. There is nothing that you can do. Here is a cream, just apply it in your face, and that's it. But reading the ingredients of the cream, I discovered that they have cortisone, which is not good. I knew that was not good. So I was very careful applying that cream. Then with the migraines, one day I just, I thought that I had something in my brain because the pain was terrible. So I went to see a neurologist. And after doing some tests, I was told there was nothing wrong with me. There was just a migraine. And millions of people have migraines, and there is nothing that you can do. You just need to take painkillers. And if the painkillers that you're taking are not strong enough, well, you go to doctors and they will give you stronger painkillers. So I was just like, oh my God, I just can't believe it. So I tried not to take a lot of painkillers because I knew that they have side effects. Anyway, I migrated to Australia 12 years ago. And around 5 years ago, 6 years ago, I was feeling different. I was feeling very low, my energy. I couldn't sleep. Even if I slept, was in bed long, my energy in the morning was really bad. I was feeling very emotional. There were a lot of things that were happening with me. And I tried different things, but then I went to see my GP. And after having some tests, I was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease affecting my thyroid. The disease is called Graves. And I was told there was nothing I could do for the rest of my life. I needed to be medication. And I remember I came home and I was like, I couldn't comprehend in my mind how my body was attacking itself. Because I knew by then quite a bit about the body, how it works. And I have always been amazed of how intelligent bodies we have. So I started searching for, answers or help. And eventually I got into like a conference, and they were talking about fasting and how food can heal or make us sick. And I sat there in this conference and everything made sense. So I came home and decided I was going to fast by myself because I didn't have anything to lose. So I came and I did my first fast. How long a fast? Well, I did 4 days of colon cleanse, 3 days of water fast, and 30 days of juices. And at the end of this, I reversed my autoimmune disease. My doctor, obviously, she wanted to check to make sure that I was okay. So for a period of time, I was doing a lot of, blood tests, and everything is okay. Now I don't do that often, but maybe 4 weeks, 5 weeks ago, I went to get the results of my latest blood test, and everything is fantastic. Actually, she was very excited about also seeing, my glucose and the fats and all of that, everything on control. So when that happened for me, I decided that maybe I could help more people, and I did a certificate in health coaching, in nutrition. Then I started learning how the emotions are important for our health. So I went to do a master certification as hypnotherapist and NLP and timeline therapy. And then what else I did? Then I started learning about energy healing. So I'm advanced planet healer as well. Anyway, I started getting more and more information and more skills. I then started looking into the eyes of people and became advanced iridologist as well. So that's what I do. I help people to prevent and reverse chronic diseases, from diabetes, metabolic syndrome, which is more than diabetes, autoimmune diseases. I have few clients that have reversed autoimmune diseases. What else? High blood pressure, binge eating, like eating disorders and so on. So let's get into this. So if we look at this disease, at the chronic disease in percentages, this is very alarming, right? So when we arrive to 60 years old, 80% of the population will have at least one chronic condition. That is 4 out of every 5 people. And 68% will have 2 or more chronic diseases or chronic conditions. Yeah. And if we look at Australia, 1 in 2 Australians have already a chronic disease. This is terrible. So why we are not doing anything about this? If we look at the leading causes of disease and death in the world, things have not been improved. So now there is more people dying from heart attack, stroke, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, cancer, Alzheimer's, and dementia. There are only 3 things that are better. And they are things like lower respiratory infections. I mean, this is before COVID. Also, diarrheal diseases and neonatal, problems. So, yeah, it's not getting. So, what is happening? Give me just 1 second. So what is happening? Why is not getting better? And this is what I believe. The pharmaceutical and the chemical industries are a business. So they lose money when we don't consume the medications, right? So, and that's why there's so many restrictions for people to say that we can help somebody to reverse or to cure a disease. It is forbidden because it is not good for the business. I'm not the only one. There is a lot of people who are helping people to reverse chronic conditions. I know people who have reversed stage 4 liver cancer by fasting. So that is a reality. It is a business. Sad reality. So there are 3 causes of disease. The first one is toxicity. The second one is deficiency. And the third one is stress. So today we are going to talk quite a bit about toxicity. And so deficiency is the body needs nutrients. And this is more it's even more than just fats, carbohydrates, and proteins. This is the macronutrients, the vitamins, the minerals, the enzymes that the body needs. So just going and said, oh, vegan diet is better than carnivore, just like that is not enough. You need to learn about what the body needs. And we're going to touch a little bit on this, but the main thing of this class is to talk about toxicity. Yeah. And the third one is stress. So 80% of the current diseases are linked to chronic stress, because stress will trigger a lot of reactions in the body that prevent the body from repairing. When we're stressed, the body is in a state of emergency. So it's not interested about repairing, it's interested about preserving the life. So food is medicine and also is disease. Yeah, it breaks my heart looking at posts in groups that they talk about diabetes and people being happy that they can eat these chocolates that are zero sugar. They are full of synthetic or artificial sweeteners. That is a poison. Or people eating crackers and cheese. So I'm not going to get a lot into metabolic health, but what you eat is very important. Not all the calories are the same, and this is for all diseases. So not because the shelves are full of food means that that food is safe for you. So there is a lot of studies that link the blue coloring, like this beautiful boy, the blue coloring in the food to leukemia, lymphoma, and myeloma. So those are cancers. And still, they're available to be given to kids. So the chemicals are in the food as well. The chemical preservatives, emulsifiers, the artificial sweeteners, hydrogenated oils like canola or vegetable oil, monosodium glutamate, that is a flavoring agent, that is linked to food addiction. So it is used in the pharmaceutical industry to make the rats fat, because the animals will not eat if they are not hungry. So to test some medications for diabetes or obesity, they need to have fat rats. And what they do is they put MSG or monosodium glutamate into the food for the rats to keep eating and eating and eating. So they become fat, so the drugs can be tested. Artificial colors, even if there's a natural coloring or natural flavoring, that is artificial. And GMOs, or genetically modified organisms. So all of these are not good for us. The body is not designed to eat these things. And the chemicals are not only in what we eat, but also what we put on the skins. And our skin is the biggest organ. And through the skin, we absorb things. And that's why the patches of nicotine work for people who want to stop smoking and still have the nicotine in the system, right? So anything that you put in the skin will be absorbed. So all the fragrances that are not essential oils disrupt the hormones. Before I was diagnosed with the autoimmune disease, I love the Body Shop. I discovered the Body Shop when I was living in the UK, and at the time when I went back to Mexico, or when I was living there and traveling to Mexico to visit my parents, there was no Body Shop in Mexico. So my suitcase was full of these products. Now I don't use them because they are not natural anymore, and they disrupt my hormones. And when the hormones are disrupted, we accumulate fat. So just imagine that you have a beautiful fish bowl, right? And this is your fish, and your fish is healthy and happy. And then you stop changing the water and start putting a little Coke, some chips, some chocolate, maybe a little coffee or red wine, and start putting it slowly, slowly, slowly. So what happens is the fish will start becoming sick. It may have some skin problem, right? It may have, I don't know, the fin, it may become a little bit stiff, so it cannot swim very well or totally stop. Or it may have, some rash or something, or look lethargic, right? And then imagine that to help the fish, we just give him a tablet, maybe a tablet for the skin, a tablet for the fin, a tablet for something else, right? Do you think the fish is going to improve? The answer is no. What should we do to help the fish? Is change the water, change the environment. And now there is a lot of information about how epigenetics, or how the environment affects the genes. So some authors or researchers says 1 to 3% of all the diseases are truly genetic. Everything else is not genetic, which means that we can influence by changing the environment. And that's where fasting comes. So why I like iridology a lot is because in the eyes, we can see toxins. So this blue eye that is very white in here, and it has these dots, you see, that is an indication of chronic inflammation. And this is the same person. This eye had lots of lines. There is a lot of congestion, a lot of stress here, and more congestion here in the body. This is another eye that also these lines here are indication of leaky gut. So leaky gut is when the materials that are in the intestines migrate to the bloodstream, which causes a trigger for the immune system, and the immune system starts attacking that. But let's say that this is linked to gluten, right? For example, gluten is one of the things that create intestinal permeability of leaky gut, because it's highly inflammatory for the gut, for everybody, not just people with celiac disease. So if we keep eating the same thing over and over and over, then there is a reaction linked to autoimmunity. It's not that the body became crazy and started attacking itself. There is something that is triggering a response of the immune system. So when we remove that is triggering the response, the immune system gets back in control. So the body is designed to have channels of elimination, or we have channels of elimination, which are the colon when we go to the toilet to poo, the lymphatic system, the lungs when we breathe out, kidneys when we go to pee, the skin when we sweat, and the liver that it helps to break down chemicals and poisons and filters bacteria from the blood. The liver is very, very important. And nowadays, very importantly, we see a lot of people with cirrhosis that are not alcoholic or drinkers at all. And this is because of the amount of processed food that we are consuming that puts a lot of stress into the liver, that the liver comes and it starts suffering from fatty liver disease, that is non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. And if we are not careful, it will move or progress into cirrhosis. So for the liver to work, it needs different nutrients. It has 2 steps to detox, but we need nutrients. Now, a lot of people sometimes ask me that some of these nutrients are only found in animal products. However, that is not correct. So all of these nutrients are found in plants as well. And I want to talk a little bit more about a plant-based diet. Not vegan, but plant-based. So what happens is the body is so amazing that when we have a lot of toxicity and the liver or the body cannot get rid of this toxicity, the body starts encapsulating these toxins into fat because it needs to preserve the life, right? So what we're doing, if we start putting fat, that means that we are toxic. Now, the problem with dieting is that when we diet, we reduce the size or the volume of the body. But if we didn't do anything to eliminate toxins, that means that we have more concentrations of toxins in the body, right? So when we stop, there is a rebound because the body needs quickly to produce more fat to encapsulate and keep safe. On the other hand, when we cleanse or detox the body properly, then we eliminate the toxins and the body doesn't need to have fat to protect us from the toxins. So we start, shedding off the fat. So the fastest way to heal ourselves is fasting. So fasting has been in history for a long time. And it has been practiced in different cultures along the times, and in all the religions, we have stories of people fasting. But I want to show you some things around health. So in this 12th century, sorry, this is wrong, the 126th century, there was a physician, Swiss physician, very famous, called Paracelsus. And he said, fasting is the greatest remedy. Then Plato and Socrates, for the ancient wisdom, Greeks, both of them fasted for 10 days at a time. This is in water, to attain mental and physical efficiency. And then we have Hippocrates, right? That is the father of medicine, together with Galeno or Galenus, the two in the picture, right? That Hippocrates said our food should be our medicine and our medicine should be our food. But to eat when we are sick is to feed the sickness. This is very important. And the reason is the body cannot digest and repair at the same time. Digestion is one of the processes in the body that requires the most energy. We are constantly eating, all day, snacking, or 5 times a day. Or we eat a lot before going to bed, and first thing in the morning we have breakfast. We are not allowing the body to rest and repair. So when we are sick, we need to stop eating. So the body has energy to repair, to heal itself, instead of using all the energy that it has to digest. So let's talk a little bit more about what the science is saying about fasting. And there are some extracts from research that I'm going to show you. But these are a few things of how fasting works. So the first thing is when we fast, there is a metabolic switch. That means that this is when we fast with water, right? It can be intermittent fasting or water. If we are drinking our juices, this will be in less degree because we are consuming or giving the body glucose. Even if the glucose in the juice, if it's a natural juice, is a high quality glucose, that is very different than drinking a Coke. But when we don't consume glucose or we stop eating, so we just drink water or sleep, right? Once the reserves of glucose are finished, then the body will switch to burn fat. Yeah. And by doing this, the body produces ketones for energy. So, and we are going to get a little more into this. So the second thing that happens when we fast is that there are changes in our hormones. And these hormones are insulin, that is the hormone that drives glucose inside of the cells, glucagon, and the growth hormone. Yeah. So the other thing is that is very important is that a lot of people believe that when we fast, we lose muscle, but that is not the case. Yeah. When we fast, glucagon and the growth hormone, they go up. And this helps to break down more fat, but also to prevent the muscle deterioration. Right? The third thing that happens, that is where the real healing happens, is a process called autophagy. And autophagy is like a big cleanup, because when the body finishes the glucose and then start burning fat, the body needs more energy. So, and also the body knows that it's in a crisis because we are not eating. So what the body does is it sends an alarm saying, I need to be more efficient. So the body starts cleaning up all the cells that are old or ineffective, any of the excess protein that can be a cyst or a tumor. It gets used or broken down and used to produce energy. So it's a massive, massive cleanup. And the last thing that fasting will affect is the gene expression. So, as I said before, the gene expression is very important because we can turn on and off genes. So, it has been demonstrated that fasting is linked to longevity and cellular repair. Yeah. So, we're going to have a look at some research. So this is from the National Institute of Aging, and what they're saying is fasting effectively treats cancer in humans. So this was, there were a few studies on breast cancer, yeah, and what they said is, as a result of fasting, the cancer cells tried to make new proteins and took other steps to be growing and dividing. As a result, damaging free radical molecules were created, which broke down the cancer cells on DNA and caused their destruction. Another research by the University of Chicago, they have a look at what happened when a male 40 years old fasted for 2 weeks, and they measure some markers that are linked to bioage. So we have our our age that is linked to how many days or years how we live in this earth, chronological age, and then there is a bio age or biological age, and that means how the body is working and what will be the representation in our age, you know. So somebody who fasted for 2 weeks, he was 40 years old chronologically, but when they check what was happening at cellular level, they found that he was as young as a 17-year-old. This is amazing. Then there is more research by this journal that is one of the most renowned journals called Science. And they found, again, that when we fast, between 30 to 40 days, there is an increase in metabolic rate between 5 to 6%. This is what I'm saying. A lot of people said because we fast, we can damage the metabolism. Is the opposite. Yeah. So don't be afraid of that. It's another doctor that did some studies about fasting with tumors. So autolysis, it is, the response from the organism, our own human body, to self-digest and remove unwanted material. So this is like a selective cleanup, again, similar to autophagy. And when we fast, they saw that tumors, cysts, abscesses, viruses, other abnormal accumulation of fatty deposits were absorbed or reabsorbed by the body. Another study that found that fasting improves the stem cell regeneration of damaged all immune system. And not only of the immune system, when we fast long enough, there is stem cells produced. A stem cell is any cell or a cell that can become any cell. It's like the mother of the cells. So stem cells can be, if we need, tongue cells or lung cells or stomach cells or liver cells. They adapt and they become very specialized as the body needs. So this is pretty interesting, right? So let's talk a little bit more about, like, overall, what are the benefits of fasting. So the first one is when we fast, maybe let's start by the weight loss, right? Obviously, we will lose weight, but we lose weight because we remove the toxins, so the body doesn't need all the fat. So we start shedding off the fat. Also, it's linked to cancer prevention. And as I mentioned, I know people who have healed from cancer by fasting. It reverses type 2 diabetes. It is anti-aging, and promotes longevity with health, not just the number of years, but the quality of life. It reduces chronic inflammation or inflammation in the body. So there is a marker for inflammation. That is the CPR-reactive protein. When you fast, you can measure that and see how much the inflammation is reduced. Now, chronic inflammation is like the fire that starts chronic disease. Yeah. So it helps and reverse insulin resistance. It produces or increases the amount of human growth hormone that is important for repairing the body. It helps with the heart health because the fats reduce and we become more, chronic inflammation reduces and we become healthy in general, and it helps with brain activity. So there are many benefits from fasting. So now there are different types of fasting. So we can call intermittent fasting is when we fast or we don't consume any food for a few hours up to 24 hours. Yeah, and there are different modalities. People who do 16 hours of fasting and they just eat in a window of 8, or people who do 20 hours of fasting and they just eat in a window of 4. Then one type of intermittent fasting is what is called 1 meal a day. That is just only have 1 meal a day, as it says, right? So you fast for 22 hours or 23 hours and you just eat. Then there is alternate day fasting. And again, there is different modalities. There is people who do, all right, I eat 1 day, yes, 1 day, not. Or I eat 5 days and fast 2 days. Or I eat 3 days and fast 1 day and then repeat. There are different modalities. Then there is what we call extended fasting. And this is when we don't eat for multiple days. So some people do 2 days, 3 days, 7 days, up to 30 days. The longest I have fast in water was 16 days as extended fast together with water and juice. So no solids at all, 30 days. And then we have another modality that is called fat fasting. And this is just about to eat a little bit of good fat to help, to help the body. Because if you remember, when we fast, we are consuming mostly fat because after a few hours, the glucose, storage is depleted. So the body starts using the fat. And some people say that it helps with the hunger. I have not tried. I just go hard when I decide to fast because for me, I think it's easier. So let's talk about different fasts. So let's talk about intermittent fasting, right? So the first myth is that people believe that breakfast is the most important meal of the day. However, that is not true. This was introduced by Kellogg's, the company that manufactures and sells cereals. Nothing happened to you if you have a breakfast late. The latest you have, the more you fast, because it's easier to fast at night because we're sleeping. So the other myth is that some people believe that our metabolism goes faster when we eat more, which is not truth, right? Then what I mentioned before, our body cannot digest and repair at the same time. So just think about it. Every time that you're eating, the body is not repairing. Yeah. It is very important to balance insulin to maintain good health. Insulin resistant or high fluctuation of insulin is linked to all the chronic diseases, all, not just diabetes, but high blood pressure, cancer, everything, right? Ideally, intermittent fasting should be at least 13 to 15 hours minimum as a break or a window that you don't eat. And the idea is to start increasing that window, aiming for 1 meal a day. Right? And when we intermittent fast, it's easy to incorporate juices. However, the thing with the juices is the juice doesn't contain fiber. It's not a smoothie. It is a juice in the juicer. Because what that does is the digestive system doesn't need to work to absorb or to digest, to break down. We are giving liquid nutrients to the body. So the nutrients will be absorbed by the intestines, giving a boost of vitamins, minerals, enzymes that the body needs without using the energy to break down the food, so it can keep that energy to repair itself. However, when we fast in juices, there is no ketosis, or sorry, ketosis is not the word. There is no autophagy or autolysis. So intermittent fasting has been linked to slowing down the aging process, to improve our memory, reverses insulin resistance. It helps us to lose weight, protect us from diseases that damage the brain, as Alzheimer's and dementia, prevents cancer, reduces arthritis or all the inflammation, reverse asthmatic conditions, slow the progression of autoimmune disease, and increases the lifespan. Now, autophagy. So to produce autophagy, we need to fast in water between 17 to 22 hours or more. When autophagy starts, it depends on each individual, right? This was discovered in 1992 by Dr. Osumi, and he reported massive cell repairs. It has been proven to slow down the aging process, reduce inflammation, and obviously stimulates weight loss. So, as I said, this process is, named or is referred as the big internal cleanup, right? So it is a lot of cellular recycling. Anything that is damaged or not function properly is broken down and used as a source of energy. And the thing with this is that the cells are constantly duplicating, right? But if my cells are functioning, let's say at 80%, they will be duplicated at 80%. And with the time, if I don't do anything, the efficiency will go down. And now all the cells start replicating to 70, right? So this process helps to make the efficiencies higher and make sure that the copies, let's say, are more clear, better functioning for the body. And that's why it helps with longevity. So then we have water fast. So water fast is the main fast. It is where the magic of the healing happens. When we fast 3 days, water will reboot our whole immune system. That is when we produce stem cells and when we get the prevention of cancer. Just a note on cancer. To reverse cancer, you need to fast for long in water. Yeah. So then there are other fastings, and I just put in here so you hear about it, So what is fast mimicking diet? It was developed by Dr. Longo at the University of Southern California. And this also type of fasting will stimulate the stem cells. Now, there are a lot of conditions for this. So you need to have a calorie intake between 800 and 1,000 calories. You need to avoid animal protein that is normally in any fast. The protein needs to be below 20 grams a day. And they did a study where people fasted for 5 consecutive days a week with these conditions for 3 months. The body made enough stem cells to repair injured pancreatic cells. Now, for me, I don't like to be counting calories and proteins and all that. So that's why I don't do this. So when I fast in water, as long as I can, and then in juices. And then the other fasting is dry fasting. This means no food or water for 12 to 24 hours. It's not recommended to do this more than 24 hours. This, I think, is very hard. I have not tried. But this fast will help to grow new neurons and help obviously with cognitive function like memory and learning. It decreases inflammation, balances cholesterol, increasing the good cholesterol and decreasing the bad cholesterol. Just as a note, you can achieve this by eating 2 Brazil nuts a day. It prevents osteoporosis as it promotes the parathyroid hormone, right? And as I said, it should not be practiced for more than 24 hours. So Muslims who do practice Ramadan, they will not drink or eat while the sun is up. So they practice kind of this type of fasting, which I respect because for me it would be really hard. So this is a little bit of summary. So when we have intermittent fasting, we need between 30 to 15 hours. Then more than 17 hours of just water will get into autophagy. More than 24 hours of water will, produce stem cells for the intestines. More than 36 hours, we overcome insulin resistance and we start getting quite a bit of weight loss. Between 3 to 5 days of water will have stem cells in the immune system. I said 3 days of water fast, and the musculoskeletal as well. And more than 3 days in general, we have production of stem cells and help with chronic conditions. Now, how do you prepare for the fast? Because we are going to be doing the fast starting on the 28th of this month, that is Tuesday. So the first thing is you need to start preparing now to reduce the toxic load, because what happens is if suddenly you start fasting and you were eating a lot of processed food or soft drinks or animal protein, then the toxic load in your body will be so high that when you start fasting and the body starts dumping the toxins, your body is not able to process them. And that's when people get headaches and vomiting and all these symptoms that they will never try a fast again. And I don't want you to experience that, because fasting is super healing. So it is important that you start looking at the products, at the food that you are consuming. What are the things in the ingredients? Start removing Teflon pans. They are very toxic. Avoid, pre-packed or processed food. Start drinking more water. I drink and promote alkaline hydrogen-rich water. Kangen water. So you want more information about that, let me know. I have a machine that I can lend. You are in South Australia, so you try the water. Once that you try it, you will not want to get rid of the machine. It is amazing, and also helps to eliminate all the chemicals in the house. Basically, you can sanitize, disinfect with water. You can remove pesticides and herbicides from produced with water. You can do a lot of things. Check your beauty products. There is an app called Think Dirty, and start trying to eat a little more organic. There is a list of produce that is called the Dirty Dozens, that they are produced that have the most load of chemicals. And then the Clean 15, that doesn't matter if you don't buy them organic. Yeah. So start detoxing the body, drinking lots of water and eating more fresh fruit and vegetables. Second is to help the body to open up the detoxing pathways, the eliminating channels. How can you do that? If you do dry brushing, that will stimulate the lymphatic system, or rebounding like the little trampoline. That's amazing for the lymphatic system. Make sure that you sweat, so you can go to a sauna or just, do something to sweat. Have a colonic or colon cleanse, do NMS. I like coffee NMS. If you want more information, reach out. And you can use also red light therapy. Third is to start, this is before the fast, right? To start detoxing. So we remove, so we are not adding more toxins. We help opening the pathways for detoxing, and then we start detoxing. Don't wait for the fast to start detoxing. Start doing things. So start removing food that causes inflammation. This is the gluten or all the wheat, the dairy, including the yogurt, the animal protein, and processed food, sugar as well. No fruits. The glucose or the fructose in the fruit is very different from the sugar, the table sugar, right? The fruit glucose or fructose is very good for the body. So you can increase the amount of fruits and vegetables that you're eating, preferably raw, and reduce or eliminate all animal protein, because the animal protein is heavy for the system to digest. Yeah. And start planning your fast. So we have some time now for you to start thinking how you want to do the fast. Are you going to do just intermittent fasting, or would you like to try just juice fasting, or a combination, or are you adventurous to start doing some water fasting, maybe 1 day, maybe 3 days? I'll tell you something about the water fast. The hardest time is the first 2 days. After the third day, you are not hungry anymore. I know it's sometimes impossible to believe, but you are not hungry anymore. So it's easier to get through it. I have clients that they have started with 1 day, and then I check, and yeah, no, I'm doing good. I'm going to do another day. And at the end, they do 7 days or 10 days of water, and they're amazed how good they feel. And drinking of water, right? So start reducing the toxic load, open up the detoxing pathways, and start detoxing and cleansing your body. So you are ready to go into the fast. We are what we drink. So water is very, very important. Most of the body is water. Even the bones have 22% of water. They look dry, but they have water, right? So in the normal day-to-day, right, we lose between 2.5 to 3 liters of water by sweating, breathing, going to the toilet, moving, and even sleeping. Now, the thing is that when the hydration levels drop, and we are 3% dehydrated, which is very minimum if you think about it, the metabolism will slow down. But also, it's quite often that we think that we are hungry, but it's not really hunger, it's more dehydration. So, and the body, so every time that you feel hungry, drink a glass of water and see how you feel. The other thing that happens, because the body is so amazing, that when we are dehydrated and we are not giving enough water to the body starts reacting. So what the body starts doing is retaining water. And that's why we feel bloated and we feel uncomfortable, and maybe we even look fatter. But it's the body retaining water because we are not providing more water. So it is very, very important. If we are not hydrating, the body becomes acidic. And when that happens, it starts storing fat because we become toxic. So what is the recommendation for water intake? Is 1 liter of water for every 22 kilos of weight. It is important that your water is clean from chloride, fluoride, and all the other rubbish that is in tap water. So again, if you would like to have more information about Kangen water, because it's an antioxidant water, reach out and I'm happy to share water with you and share more information. It's just amazing. There is people who have healed chronic diseases just by drinking this water. So now, the other thing that is super important when you fast is to know how to break the fast. Because if we just stop fasting today, let's say that I did 7 days of juices and I go and eat a burger, I will destroy what I have created, right? So it's very important that when you break the fast, you do it with fruit or something that is watery and delicious and full of nutrients. So I'm interested to know what are the type of fasting you're doing. And if you share in the group, then I'll be helping you with how to break the fast to make sure that you obtain the maximum benefits from this experience. So it is very important. Well, understand what are your health objectives, how you're going to incorporate these to the daily routine. By the way, when I have fasted, even in water for 16 days, I keep doing my life. I keep working. I can do the only thing that I don't do after day 3 of a water fast, if I keep water in water, is do like heavy exercise. I'll do some stretching and yoga, but I will not be jumping or going to Pilates or doing hot yoga. Okay, but everything else is normal. Look at your preference, right, for what to eat. What is the fasting method that you would like to do? If you have any health conditions and you have some questions about it, please reach out. I'm happy to help you. As I said, I have guided people with diabetes, with autoimmune disease, with high blood pressure through fasting. And then just go with it, give it a go and see how you feel. You will be surprised about how good you feel. And well, every human being is the author of his own health or disease. So join the movement. So join our 7-day fasting event that starts on May 28th. It's a Tuesday. And let's do this together to create more health, less disease. If you have any questions, you can reach out or put them in the Facebook group. And if you have any specific conditions or concerns about your health, you are welcome to book call with myself, and I'll give you some coaching and some guidance. Don't worry, this will not be a sales call. I'm just here to serve and to help you in your journey. So okay, so thank you very much, and I hope to hear from you soon and get into the fasting together. Okay.